And he goes, I would say I'm, a little left of center.
Mm-hmm.
That's where I've been. He goes, but when they spoke and they talked about all the things that were important for a country.
Did you listen to the Trump Elon thing?
I did. Did you?
I did.
Yeah.
I did.
It was pretty good.
It was.
I like that with the opening that Elon was saying, I want us to be just a conversation.
Yeah.
Because he gets beat up anywhere he turns. The media that interviews him, they go after him and they beat him up. And he's like, you can't really have a conversation if you're getting beat up the whole time you're on defense, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I liked that, and it was a conversation. So,
mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like that about it.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'd like to see more conversations like that, because I think Trump was right about it when he was speaking, that the other side can't have a conversation like that.
Yes.
I mean, if you think about the players, Biden can't hold his own in a conversation. It's all got to be on, some type of monitor for him to read.
Well, and it seems to be the
prompted.
same.
Yeah, well, and eventually all you're going to get is a hyena laugh. So it's like, you can't really, you can't, everywhere that I've seen something of her speaking, which is hard to listen to, it all ends in her hyena laugh. And it's like, I don't know. It's just, there's no conversation. I don't think they could carry anything longer than maybe 5 minutes.
I don't know. I don't even know if they could do that without shooting themselves in the foot. So here's what I thought.
I think you're right.
So, Trump had that sit down with that streamer guy last week who gave him the wrapped Tesla truck and gave him a Rolex watch or something. Like, this dude they broke the internet, the platform that they were using to do the stream, because, well, it was Trump.
Yeah.
And the kid was so excited. He was young. He's in his 20s. He was so young, so excited to get to sit down with Trump. And he invited Trump to do that sit down. So then Elon invites Trump to do another sit down on Twitter, X, whatever. And they have their conversation. What I've seen since then is clips of other streamers getting propositioned by Kamala's campaign to pay these people large sums of money. Other influencers, other streamers. Kamala's campaign is literally reaching out to these people. This one guy was so funny. He's from Manhattan, and he got on his stream and he's just cussing up a storm. And he's like, I have been wanting to talk to this girl for so long. I have been trying to get in touch with her. I have just been working so hard to try and talk to this girl. And then I finally get a message from her. And what does she want? The only thing she says to me is, we need you in our campaign. Let me tell you something right now. I do not want to get involved in any of these politics. I'm not having Kamala on my show. And he just blows up. So many influencers are doing that because most of them don't want to get involved in politics. I mean, they're gamers. Right. They're people who have their own platform for their influence. And the last thing they want to do is bring a politician onto their platform, because it's going to sway either way how much money they make. And so these people are so frustrated because she is bombarding them, trying to get them to interview her so that she can swing that vote, that younger vote. And it's just so funny to me, because Trump is authentic in that he is invited to do these sit downs. And then as soon as this happens, Kamala is like, we got to get onto this. We got to jump on this bandwagon. And nobody wants her.
Well, the copycat thing is just, it's crazy right now, right? I mean, she's trying to copy everything. Everything, including the, yes, no tax on tips, and Trump's like, I said that a month ago, that there wouldn't be that. And the difference is, and they're exactly right, is that Well, they'll say that, but it ain't going to happen.
Well, she
You know, as
voted
soon
to
as,
tax tips in 2022. She voted to
yeah,
have tips monitored for service staff so that they could tax them. And now that's what drives me so crazy about her. And Hillary was the same way when she was campaigning. It's the flip-flop. And that's why I
yep,
stand with what Trump said. Always go with the first thing you hear them say, because that's what they resort
yeah,
to every single time.
yeah. They'll fall back into what they really believe. Because she was asked by a reporter, also, Lane was telling me about this. I didn't see it firsthand, but I can see if I can have him send me the clip. But that a reporter asked her about taxing, and he said, you know, are you for taxing, you know, 70, 80%? And she said, you know, she goes, we do need to talk about that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, can you imagine 78, 80% of what your income is, you know, whether you're on Social Security or you're on, you know, making wages, being taxed that high? And then if you have taxes in your state, which Florida we don't, but I mean,
we do.
what are you gonna live on?
Yeah.
What will you live on?
That is communism.
It's impossible.
That is
No, that is
blue communism. That's not even socialism. Socialism taxes like
no.
40% of your income. Communism will take all of your money and give you just enough to survive, but not live.
Right, right. We are so close to that right now, and it's yeah, because they want you to be reliant on them for everything. That's communism. So yeah, and I think a lot of people think, oh no, they're going to give us health insurance and they're going to give us this and that, and it's like, no, they're going to control what you have. So
yeah,
no.
Yep. And we are definitely pushing the envelope. I saw that Elon Omar won her district last night in the primary. But the other squad members are being voted out. So that's a positive. However, she's in Minnesota. So, I mean, it's not terribly surprising. That is where Tim Walz is from. But yeah, she's still in.
But breaking up that squad of 5 or 6 now that they are, or not anymore, because I know at least 2 got pushed out. Corey Bush got pushed out, and I don't know who the other one.
How many, but yeah, I knew some had been.
Yeah.
I think Khalib, whatever her name was, whatever.
Oh, Talib.
Yeah, I think she's.
Yeah.
I feel like I saw that.
I don't know. I heard 2 of them were. I think 2 of them were pushed out, and maybe more. So, yeah, now's the time. And so, you know, to me, think about that, because if these people are getting pushed out, then it's all the more reason to vote, because there has been cleanup. People don't want to believe this, but there has been cleanup on a lot of the voting stuff. So, you know, don't go, oh, well, my vote's not going to count because they're going to take it away. I still believe what Trump is saying, and that is we've got to flood the polls with people voting. And, you know, one of the big deals too is that, like, Florida's primaries next Tuesday, that's the only people that seem to come out for primaries are what we call the super voters. Mm-hmm. The super voters go out and they vote at every single election. Mm-hmm. So other than that, a lot of people will not show up to the polls, you know, and that is completely sad. So what is the super voter ratio? Are there more Dem super voters, or are there more conservative Republican super voters? Because that's what's going to matter at the primary, because that also decides who is actually going to be on the ballot. Yeah. And it does decide, you know, in the general, but it also decides some of the races already. That's like one of our school board races will be decided. Yeah. So, and yeah, for our children, we need some people in there that care about children. Honestly.
Absolutely. This party that is currently on the primary. Hey, sorry, the cat is losing her mind. This primary this party that's currently on the Democratic ticket for president is the most radical party we have ever had. They don't care about babies. They don't care about your well-being in terms of if you can live a good and fulfilling life. They just want all of your money and they want to control you. Tim Walz has literally approved abortion up to birth. And if a baby is born alive, if a baby is alive during a failed abortion, he believes in murdering that child anyway. There's no healthcare alliances for an aborted child that lives. This is the radical people that are currently running on the Democratic presidential ticket. And so if you have, even if you're pro-choice, and I would love to change your mind about that, if you have the slightest affinity for life outside of the womb, for life inside the womb, for life of a fetus that is past a certain point where it can breathe outside of the womb, these are people who don't care about that. They are all about eugenics. They are all about specific population. They are all about elitism, and they are all about keeping people under their thumb. And the best way they know to do that is population control. That's what abortion is. That's all it is. It is not women's rights. It is not women's health care. There's no reason, there's no mother on this planet that I can think of who is pregnant with a child that would say, if I'm going to die, kill my baby in my womb.
Right.
Not a mother who wants their child. They're going to say,
Right.
let me
Right.
die and let my baby live. So that is one of the biggest excuses that they use. And then I saw this morning that ectopic pregnancy is a big thing that they're trying to say is, you know, killing people that are in states that are anti-abortion. So the point being, go listen to Trump's words. Don't listen to the mainstream media. The interview that he did with Elon, Trump is running pro-choice right now, which makes me sick to my stomach. That is, you know, I'm not a one cause voter. And I know that when it comes to policy, he's going to be the person for us, but he also marched in a pro-life event in his first presidency. He's the only president on record to have ever done something like that. He, you know, he does believe in life. He does love children. He's got 6 of his own. So, but if you just go listen to his words and not to how the media skews his words, you'll have a much better understanding of who the man is and not who the monster is that the left-driven media try to make him out to be.
Yeah.
It's my soapbox.
Well, you definitely have to vote for your values and who is bringing forward, you know, the best thing for our country. Because one of the things that I thought about yesterday was, you know, through the whole COVID push, right? We got to save our, you know, elderly. We got to save the grandparents. We got to save the children. You got to take the shot so you can save them. You want to save people? Do you really want to save your grandparents or the elderly or children? Then you're going to have to vote for somebody who is actually going to change the economy. Because if we stay in the situation that we're in now, and it will probably get worse, most definitely. I'm pretty sure there's like a 99.99% chance that it will go worse than it is now. People need money to live on.
Yeah.
They need money to live on. So if you really want to save those people, then I would say that, you know, you've got to vote for who is going to change the economy back to what we knew was roaring.
Yeah. Yeah. This is the absolute worst I can ever remember our economy being. Even the 2008 crash does not feel as daunting and devastating as what we're seeing right now. Like the 2008 crash was much more real estate based. And right now it just feels like, I mean,
across the board.
It's across the board. Yes. Like we went and bought, what were we looking at the grocery store the other day? I can't even remember now. And I was astounded, you know, and I don't typically, you know, I am very fortunate. I have a decent salary. I've got a great career. So I don't really pay attention to prices a lot. We're very limited in what we eat anyway. We're not big produce eaters. If you don't know by now, I'm a meat eater only, and my husband doesn't eat vegetables either. So we don't shop a lot of things that would be wasted in our home anyway. But we do buy milk and eggs in the grocery store, you know, and things like that. And we were in there looking for something the other day, and I was just astounded at the cost of what things are today versus what I paid just 3 years ago. It's just mind-blowing to me. So for people who are on a very limited income or do need to live on a strict budget, this has got to be like, I can't even imagine, because what's the food that is government assisted?
Yeah. Oh, it's crap.
Yeah.
It's not food. It's not food. So,
and there's so many more people on welfare today because they cannot afford to feed themselves. And this is the government that's voted into office right now. And if Kamala gets in, like you said, it's going to be 10 times worse. Like, we will see third world country policy. I don't doubt it at all.
Yeah. I don't either. It's it is. I know they keep saying it, and I know Trump said he said it every time. This could be our last election. Well, if you vote in communism, there will not be any voting.
Nope.
It will not be a real election, and that's one of the reasons why he was talking about too. He goes, I've been in all of these cases regarding the fact that he's disputing the election, and I, for one, can tell you that there was stuff that went on, because I went out and I checked in Florida. I went door knocking and I talked to people, and there was stuff that happened. So if you want to know for certain, go do it yourself and find out. But just the fact that he's trying to dispute it and they're taking him to court on it, I mean, there goes your First Amendment right in saying, that it wasn't accurate, it wasn't correct. I mean, that won't happen again. That will not happen again, being able to vote. So that is one of your constitutional rights. And it's also, biblically based that you need to get out and vote.
Absolutely.
Take a look in the Bible.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And just
we are supposed to
throw some salt on the wound. Europe, England is a socialist country. However, they did have some freedoms. They had freedom of speech and things like that, but no more. So the Muslim population has taken over in England, to the point that a gentleman was just sentenced to 20 months in prison for a post he did on social media. Yep, because
I think that's what
with his post.
Right. Mm-hmm. And I think that's one of the things I appreciate about Elon is he turned Twitter X around, and people can actually speak.
Well, but
he's about free speech.
You listen to what he said about what the EU did? The letter the EU wrote him and said they intend to come after him because they did not want Trump on his platform, and his platform is available in the EU. And they were very specific about they will come after him if he posts this live video. And he basically, I can't remember what the meme was, but he posted a meme that pretty much was a middle finger to the EU, which I love. I love that he's just not afraid of these people, because that's what it is. I mean, that's why people are voting for them, and that's why people are supporting them, because they're in so much fear, but it's fear of propaganda. It's not real.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's interesting because Elon also came out and said, and I have been more liberal leaning. And he goes, I would say I'm, a little left of center. Mm-hmm. That's where I've been. He goes, but when they spoke and they talked about all the things that were important for a country, he was right in there with President Trump going, no, they believed the same thing. So the Liberal Party, the Progressive Party, has left a lot of people behind. If you were old Democrat, your parents were Democrats, so you became Democrat, they left you behind. Unless you have really embraced this radical progressiveness, they've left you behind. You're probably more center. And there's a document out on My Faith Votes. I printed it out, and it explains the differences between on different topics, on what the Democrats believe about, what the more NPA believes, and what Republicans believe on abortion, on, border security, on all the big topics. And so it's, if you're not sure where you lean, it would be very interesting for you to go through that and go and mark, where do I belong? Because if you're a Christian, you're probably leaning to the right. Might be in the center, but it's probably more to the right.
Yeah.
So,
yeah,
especially if, well, we've talked about it before with abortion and being liberal. Yeah.
If you're
you can't be
curious about
Christian.
how you can be Christian and not be pro-choice, we'll put a link to the podcast episode that we did on that when we first started this podcast, because Christian values do not align with pro-choice. So if you call yourself a Christian and you say you're pro-choice, those values do not align. And we will put a link to that podcast in the show notes so you can go check that out.
Yeah. And I don't recall if I mentioned this before, but the same thing is happening in Florida. The free and fair state of Florida, with babies. They will not stop the abortion.
Yeah.
If the baby is viable and is accidentally born, they let it die.
Yeah. It's just sick.
I listened to somebody, speak about it, and it was just, he didn't witness the actual thing, but they were trying to get somebody there to save the baby, because the baby was born, and the woman then wanted to save the baby because I don't think she realized that it's actually a baby, not a blob. And she was horrified at what happened.
So
nobody would help her.
The training that I did this past weekend was seeing images of aborted babies that were pulled out of a dumpster, and they pulled one out that was approximately 12 weeks old, and they had a penny sitting beside the fetus. Fingers, toes, legs, and arms. 12 weeks old. Mm-hmm. It is not long. You can hear a baby's heartbeat at 4 weeks, and most people don't even know they're pregnant at 4 weeks. So if you really don't believe that it's a living a living person from the moment of conception, that's just ludicrous.
Yeah.
So anyway, I don't want to get on to an abortion topic because this is supposed to be about Trump, but he is not running on a pro-life ticket. He is running on a pro-choice ticket, which I don't agree with, but I do know why he's doing it, because he wants the more moderate vote, and that's okay. I respect that. I do. However, I did talk to some people this past weekend who say he is absolutely not pro-life. He is definitely pro-choice in his personal life too. But maybe Jesus will rectify that. We'll see. However, his conversation with Elon was really good. He got a chance to speak. Elon asked him, some really great questions, and they talked about some tough topics. They talked about energy, and, they're not going to agree on a lot of the energy stuff, because Elon is a Green New Deal guy. He loves energy, he loves solar and wind and all that good fun stuff. However, he also believes in nuclear. He thinks nuclear is one of the cleanest powers in the world, energy sources in the world, and he's absolutely right. So they did come to an agreement on that. Trump's nuclear push is for weapons, not energy. So they kind of had to play that out so they could get onto the same page. But it was a really good 2.5 hour interview. And I just, if you want to know who the man is, go listen to it. Go listen to him talk.
Yeah.
We'll put a link to it.
In
the show notes.
Yeah. They both talked about that if you do not have a border, then you do not have a country.
Absolutely.
So there cannot be all of these people coming across the border. They do need to be vetted. They do need to be checked to see who are they. Because even during COVID, they were letting people across the border. They didn't check them to see if they had COVID, and but they locked us down, and we had to wear masks, and we had to get the jab, and so
we didn't have to. Neither of us got it. but they were forcing
No,
people
we didn't
to
have
do
to, but I mean, that's what the push was. No,
Yeah.
neither one of us got it, and our families did not,
No.
our immediate family. But yeah, so you got to have a border wall, and it's very evident they don't want to have that. They want to bring in all these people, and the people that they're bringing in, like you said, the countries are dumping. There are people that they don't want.
Yeah.
So crime's down in Venezuela and crime's
I
down in all these
know.
other countries.
That's crazy.
Where do you think it's going to rise?
Right here.
Where will it rise? Yeah.
And that's what Trump calls it. He calls it migrant crime because most of the crime that's happening now is illegal aliens. It's not US citizens. So, I mean, go look at the statistics. I will say, oh, I just lost my whole train of thought. Never mind.
Yeah, I asked in my group, and I knew the answer to the question, but it just doesn't make sense. But I work the poll, and one of the things that I do is I check people in. So I am checking their ID, I'm checking their registered to vote. There is nothing in Florida that indicates that that person is a citizen. They took that flag away. So, you know, when somebody comes in and gets their driver's license, there's no flag for that anymore. We don't know if they're a citizen or not. So people through the motor voter registration can become voters. And all they need is a driver's license. So how easy is that? I asked, and I knew the answer. Can I ask them if they're a citizen? Like if I suspected, you know, because it is against the law. And we do have like a big sign in front of each pole or outside each pole, but there's all kinds of stuff on that sign. But somewhere on that sign is a small part that says, if you are not a citizen, it is a violation, and it explains what would happen if you voted. No, I cannot ask them if they're citizen, and I would probably be terminated from my poll working job. I'm like, how does that make sense?
It doesn't.
They are deciding our elections also. So, which is even more reason why we need to get out and vote.
Yep. We have to vote to take our country back. Right now, Donald Trump is the most patriotic presidential candidate we have seen on a presidential campaign ticket in, well, since Reagan, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
The Bushes are so corrupt that they were never patriotic. We went into 2 separate wars with each Bush. So that tells you a lot about the Republican Bush family.
Yeah.
So yeah, Reagan.
How many wars did we go into with Trump?
Zero.
Zero.
Absolutely
Yeah.
zero. And you know, we're not at war now, even though there's 40,000 soldiers sitting over in the Middle East waiting for this Israeli war, which we are going to discuss next week, and 8,000 more going. And they actually just got turned over to work under CENTCOM, which is the military over there. That's who they're under now. So they're taking their orders from the Middle East instead of from the US about when they're going to go fight. But we're not at war. No, no. Biden has never lost a soldier under his watch.
We saw 13. We saw 13 happen. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah. So before we go, these t-shirts that Sheri and I are wearing are called MAGA Infinity, and they're not Make America Great Again. They stand for Make America God's Again. And so we met this gentleman at the Turning Point USA event that we did. This is not sponsored by him, but we do want to give him a tag because, or a plug, because 90% of his profits are donated to different conservative causes around the country. So you can go, we'll put a link to his website. You can go check that out and see what all he's donating to and for. It is not all going to President Trump. Just because it says MAGA doesn't mean he's donating to Trump. In fact, I didn't even see Trump on his donation list, which I skimmed through really fast. So he may be, but anyway, we will put a link to this, and his t-shirts are really fun, and he's a great guy. And yeah, go check him out.
He actually lives near me.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, he lives in my same city, so, which I was amazed. I met him there and found out he lives here. But yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, apart from that, we hope that you got some vital information for your decision making for the election. If you have any questions, please feel free to drop them in the comment section below. We do not claim to be political experts, but we certainly know how we vote our values, and we are happy to share more information on that and what we know about different political candidates. Definitely start local, figure out who you're voting for in your own local area, and the primary is coming up. If you're not a primary voter, become one. And if you have questions about that, or you want help doing research on a candidate in your area, feel free to drop us a line. We are happy to help in any way we can, because we want you to feel like you are. I hate it when someone tells me they won't talk about politics because they are just not educated. We are happy to help you find ways to become more educated, because it's so important now more than ever.
Yeah. And we're not going to lean our values on you. You make your decision. You've got to do your own research. But sometimes it is hard to find, especially with the judges.
Yes.
And I know in our area school board, they're not designated, but that's on the ballot in November to designate them. So, which I think is important.
It is important. It's very important.
You still have to check these people, because they're, they could be claimed to be Republican and not, so but at least it's a place to start.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, thanks so much for joining us. Please remember to like, subscribe, and share. Click the notification bell to get notified every time that we put out a podcast. And if you're on YouTube, and we will see you next time.